it's time for a new project. I have downloaded some plans from Outer Zone. This is the One Design, iMac One Design. This model sort of goes in hand with my Lear fan. The reason is, so here's the wing of the fan. I'm still working on sanding it, still have some more to do. The flaps, my actuating mechanism's using torque rods, and then a common bar comes across here which connects to the servo. Well, I was beginning to have some doubts if that's really going to work well. So I did a search for a model that's about the same size as the fan. The fan has a 78-inch wingspan. This has a 72-inch wingspan, which is close enough for me. I think it'll be a relatively simple build, and the whole idea behind this build, the only real reason why I am building it, is to add flaps. Now, the original airplane and the original plan does not have flaps. It just has ailerons, no flaps. However, this looks simple enough to where I can add flaps without too much problem. And that's what I've been working on over here. So what I've done is I've shortened the ailerons 2 bays to right here, and I'm adding those 2 bays here to make flaps. Here's the shortened aileron, and this will be the flaps. So I have begun a little bit of design work, just adding flap sections in the ribs that did not have anything. Rib 2, rib 3, rib 4. And I've also added rib 7, which is the end rib here, the separation between the flap and the aileron, and rib 12, which is the end of the aileron. Now, I don't think this will be too hard to do, but one thing I've kind of noticed with this plan, I'm not sure. Now, I think this plan has probably been built many times. It may have even been a kit at one point. But I wonder if this aileron is really drawn correctly. You'll notice this is a tapering wing. It tapers from the root out to the tip. And the ribs are also decreasing in height from the root rib out to the tip rib. So the ribs are decreasing in length chord-wise and also decreasing in height. So it's a double taper. Now every time I have built a double taper wing, Warbird or what have you, the flaps, if it has flaps, and the ailerons, they taper down chord-wise as they go along the wing. But you can see here that this rectangle, I mean, it's basically a perfect rectangle. It's not tapering at all. And trying to get my head around the design, I'm not sure if this really I'm not sure if it can be built the way it's designed with this square wing. Now, I've not seen anyone else, any other builds of anyone else that's built this model, so I really don't know. So what I intend to do, instead of trying to come up with ribs as I've drawn here, what I intend on doing is just making some oversized ribs in places where I need them, and then using the main rib, if you will, as a guide. I'll sand the oversized ribs down to the right profile. And in so doing, I think what's going to happen is this flap and aileron is going to taper all the way to the end. And if it does, that's okay, because this tip block will be easy enough to sand to match. But we'll see how it works out. What I have done for the flap, I'm be cutting the main ribs off short about here, and then making some inserts into a leading edge. This is going to be a 10 millimeter thick leading edge. And then the leading edge of the flap is going to be 13 millimeter. I came up with that because at R3, which is not the end rib, but it's pretty close, the radius here is a 13 millimeter radius. So, well, that'll be a 13 millimeter radius, and then I'll have, like I said, oversized ribs here, and they'll be sanded down. All those will be sanded down to match the contour of the ribs, main ribs. Now, I've got some Robart hinge point locations. I'll have 3 for the ailerons, 2 for the flaps, because I'm going to use these monster Robart hinge points. The ailerons are going to have the smaller ones. So I'm just going to use 2 for the flaps. Never mind this layout. I wasn't thinking about perpendicular to the hinge line, so this straight line here marks the layout for the Robart hinge point. I have a couple sets of these aileron torque links. These are kind of small, but they're really stiff. I mean, it takes quite a bit of force to try to bend these. So I'm going to try to use them. They'll be positioned approximately like this right here. I'll have an extra block for this pin to go into, and it will tie in with this block and also with the rib. And I'll have the same crossbar going across up to a servo, which would probably be somewhere around here. And again, if this doesn't work, I have room where I could have 2 separate servos, each controlling the flaps. So that's the plan right now. I'll be working on this probably intermittently with the Lear fan, trying to get the Lear fan finished up, and kind of working on this at the same time. I still got to think some things through. Hopefully it won't take me too long to build this, and I definitely want to build it and fly it before I fly the Lear fan, so that's why I'm trying to work on both of them about the same time.